hadn't seen an earlier video, Daniel stopped by as a special guest, and I decided to bring him in on this. Did a tribute video to the late, great Eddie Van Halen, and it got me thinking. I didn't start the channel, me and my other co-hosts, we didn't start the channel, I think, until July, August. And this musician that we lost way back at the beginning of the year, we lost in January. And I just felt like it was important to me to do it for Eddie Van Halen. I need to do it for this guy as well because he was a big influence on me. And the reason why I brought Daniel in is not only are you a music fan and you're a fan of this band, you also were a drummer in your day.
Absolutely, I was
pretty good at the time. Should have stepped doing it. Maybe you missed your calling.
Come on, man.
But we're here to pay tribute to the late great Mr. Neal Peart.
Yes.
Drummer of Rush. And again, I'm just, gonna say how I was introduced. Obviously, saying I was kind of, I don't want to say I was late to the party because Rush was, part of my parents, playlist. They were big Van Halen fans, big AC/DC. Kiss was going on in the house. Rush was played, but it was really only Moving Pictures. Obviously that was their most iconic album. There wasn't a lot other than that played in the house. And then my dad kind of got away from it, and so I got away from it. And then the only reason why I really got back into it, honestly, was Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
It had YYZ on there.
Yes.
So I started listening to Moving Pictures again, but it still didn't click on me until 2007. My dad came up to me and said, hey, I got these 2 tickets to Rush, and your mom can't go. Do you want to go with me? I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'll go check out Rush. I know who they are. And I was literally blown away.
Absolutely.
I mean, the musicianship. I mean, I've seen bands, and I'm not trying to tear anybody apart. Playing live in front of 15, 20,000 people, obviously you're going to make mistakes. Yeah. Kiss is like a prime example. Every time I've seen Kiss, I can point out 4 or 5 mistakes. But again, you go to see the spectacle. You see the pyrotechnics and the makeup and all that stuff. Rush is one of the bands that I've seen that it's just like they're spot on. Yeah. Like they don't miss a beat. And Neal Peart is back there just drumming away. And it's not just basic drum beats. If you're a drummer, you would understand. Like basic rock beat is just, hi-hat, snare, and then you hit the bass drum, Right. He's always, and I can't even say it, it's like offbeat, and he's hitting the hi-hat differently. And it's just, and then he can play traditional and standard, which again, if you're a drummer, you
I'll go into that
because,
I noticed that.
It's amazing. So when I saw them, I was immediately hooked. Next thing you know, I'm getting all the Rush albums. And the thing is about Rush, if you know anything about Rush, they have a lot of studio albums.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's like 19, not counting the live albums they came out with.
That's over 40 years, man.
Oh my gosh. Dude. And it's just, and I've gotten to the point where I can listen to anything. Now they've got some out there stuff. They got what they call like catalog. They're 20-minute songs. And that is insane. But the musicianship, I can relate, or not really relate to, but it drives me.
You can appreciate that.
I appreciate the hell out of it. And there are people out there that, especially the early stuff, obviously Geddy Lee his voice was not, it's not what you would consider a great lead singer's voice. As a matter of fact, I remember in one documentary, they said that a critic said his voice was as apparent to Mickey Mouse singing with a blowtorch up his ass.
Oh man, that's harsh.
Like
come on, they're Canadian. What do you expect?
I mean, it was bad, but I can get past that because you got 3 guys, and it's like an orchestra sometimes. Yeah. Geddy Lee, the bass player, can play bass. He played the keyboards. Alex plays keyboards on a couple of songs, but he's an underrated guitar player. But we're talking about Neal Peart. Yeah. And, I hit the drums a few times. I don't ever consider myself a drummer, maybe an amateur drummer at best. But I was always mesmerized. And the whole show was centered around a drum solo, Neal Peart drum solo. And, I mean, when I saw it the first time, and then I saw him again in 2008, and my dad and I went, and I took a good friend of mine, Court. Yeah. And 3 of us went, and I was just hooked. And that's when I started talking to Rush, Rush about you. Like, you got to check out this band. Because I remember, like, you love the YYZ on Guitar Hero.
That's the first time I think, heard Rush.
I have a vague memory, like, we were hanging out with a friend of ours, we don't really see anymore. But I was like, hey, guys, I got the YYZ. And so we listened to it, and then it started playing Limelight. And I saw you 2 look at each other like, yeah, we don't like this. Yeah. So we had to turn it off, and I'm like, oh, it's all right.
I mean, I've grown to like it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, no.
At the time, it was just new to me. So,
exactly. So, and then fast forward to 2009, and I know I started talking to you, and I said, dude, Rush is coming to town. You got to check the Rush out. And I think that's, when you started to check them out, next thing you know, you're like, I want to go. And, we went in 2010. And side note of that concert, that was the same day the State Fair Texas opened. And it's playing at Starplex.
I forgot about that.
Oh, dude, it was such a pain we had to park like way away. And thank God we did too, because we got we got home before my parents went with my brother. I got home, dropped him off. I was in the bed before he texted me he was on the highway going home because they had made it a one-way out or whatever. But
nightmare.
We were I thought we were pretty close.
We were close. Yeah, I thought we were great.
Oh man, dude, again, I just spot on. And then I took my wife. She was pregnant at the time. We went in 2012. And again, anytime they came, it was just infatuated. You go and it's 3 hours of just Rush. Yeah, they take a 30-minute break in between, but it's just Rush. There's no warm-up band. They're playing for almost 3 solid hours. It's just amazing. And Neal Peart, I kick myself now because I've gone back and looked, and when they've come to Dallas, and there's a website called setlist.fm, and you can look at old set lists, and they looked at the dates, and I'm like, man, I could have went to that show, I could have went to that show, but I just wasn't into them at the time.
Right.
And I remember in 2015, they announced they were going to go on an R40 tour, 40th anniversary.
Which is their last tour, right?
Yes, and there were so many rumors around that this was their last tour, and I was like, I got to go see him. And I just didn't. I didn't go. And I was just so disappointed. I remember the night, and I was like, Rush is playing. I didn't have nobody to go with, and my wife's like, if you want to go, go, but I was worried about finances, and I'm just not a big person that goes to things on their own. But I should have just bit the bullet and went, because I
definitely should have. I would have gone absolutely by myself.
And, they've got documentaries out there. One's Beyond the Lighted Stage, which is great, and then they did one about their last tour, where they were leaving, and it was sad, And Neal Peart was okay with walking away, and they talked about how much pain he is on tour, and he just powers through. Some musicians, if they got to sneeze, they don't want to go on stage.
Right.
There was, I think on that tour they said, because he rode his motorcycle, he's a very big motorcycle.
Cross country, yeah, that's awesome.
It was like raining, and like evidently his feet got wet, and he got some kind of fungus on the bottom of his foot, and he was talking about how walking was painful, let alone playing the drums. And like I said, there's not a lot of breaks in a Rush concert.
Not at all.
And he's dying, and he's like, I hate this, but hey, I signed on to do this, and I'm going to do it. And I mean, you can't come in that. And then I heard he didn't do a lot of interviews because he was, kind of a shy guy.
Right.
But he said, I don't even have drums in my house anymore.
Damn, that's crazy.
And I was like, wow, this, wizard of the drums. And not here to say who's the best drummer.
No, I mean,
I know the list, and I understand the list, but personally, he's one of my favorite drummers.
No, man, mine too, absolutely. He's definitely top three.
Yeah. And the fact that he wasn't playing at the end of his life is amazing, but he was done. Hey, I'm a musician. I retired from it, and I'm done with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's always an end time when, when you call it quits. Whatever, you feel it. You feel it in your own body. Like, I'm done, and there's nothing wrong with that. You let the great, just absolutely,
40 years
that can't be touched. You know what I mean? So,
and I've read, he's also an author. I read, tragically, Neal Peart was married and had a daughter, and his daughter died in a single car accident. And then his wife, I think they were common law married. I don't think they were actually married. Yeah. She got cancer right after that and died. Loses his daughter and his wife within, I think, 3 months.
And even then he walked away. He was like, I'm done.
He told his bandmates at the funeral, he said, guys, I'm retired.
Yeah, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And in the book, and I read it, he drove all, rode his motorcycle all through Canada, through the U.S., talking about stops and all this stuff. And basically, he said it was like a healing process. Met his future wife, relocated, I think, to Los Angeles because he's from Canada.
Yeah.
They had a daughter together, and that's all he cared about.
What part of Canada,
I know he had a home in Toronto
Nice.
at one point, and then he had a cabin. I don't know exactly where that was at, but he talked about that a lot in the book. But I read that, and there was another book I started, but I never finished. But he's a fantastic author. He wrote the lyrics to 99% of the Rush
songs. A lot of
songs.
people don't know that he was the lyricist of the band. I mean, that's mind-blowing.
Insane, And again, a closet guy, didn't let a lot of stuff come out. It shocked the hell out of me when they said he died.
Yeah,
he
me too.
died of brain cancer.
Yeah.
None of that came out. Nobody knew nothing, and it was like,
it was just super private. I mean,
it's not like, and again, Eddie Van Halen was kind of sudden, but I heard rumors. Right. And again, like I said in the video, I prayed that maybe that was rumors, and after all this COVID would end, they would go on tour, and I could see them one last time. But of course, we're not going to do that. I knew Rush was never going to go back on tour,
right.
But it was just sad to hear that this guy was no longer with us, and I'm such a fan of those guys. It would be great to meet them, and knowing that the slim to none chance of meeting them, now there's no chance. It's
right.
I know it's been a while, but I hope his late wife and his daughter have moved on and they're okay. But just wanted to kind of share my feelings of kind of the same thing I did with Eddie Van Halen. These are bands that I grew up with. And like I said in the Van Halen, it just shows me that times are, I'm getting older, the times are changing, and like I said in the other one, the hourglass doesn't stop for anybody. Right. Time's going to keep on moving. And it's just, it was real shock when it happened. I know it's been 10 months since,
but it's still a
sad.
huge loss. I mean, that's one of the greats.
I listened to Rush songs for like 3 months after he passed, and I would listen to the live albums. Like, I was there for that. I remember that, and all that stuff. But, what was it to you?
Man, like you said, I mean, I was late to the Rush scene and just rock in general. Like, growing up in a Mexican household, that wasn't exactly the first genre being played. So I was late to the rock scene in general. But yeah, you introduced me to Rush, and I mean, it was a slow start for me. I didn't appreciate it like I do now, but yeah, it was so different. Like, the prog rock, whatever you want to call it, that's the genre. Progressive rock. Yeah,
they had a lot.
And then them being a trio is just another thing. Like, there's no other trios that I know of with that kind of caliber of just it's just insane, man.
The only one I can think of, and they're nowhere near Rush's level, but there are 3 of them, and they're musicianally talented, but their songs are goofy. Is Primus.
Dude, I love Primus.
I love Primus.
I thought you were going to say Blink-182, but they're a trio.
They're a trio, and Travis Barker is phenomenal.
Travis Barker's an awesome drummer, yeah.
And I put him in that category with Neal Peart. He's on his own.
He's definitely on my list, just not nowhere near. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's great, but I mean, Neal Peart is just on another level, and you can watch a video of him, and the first thing that stands out, obviously, is the kit that he plays on. He plays on 2 kits. He has an acoustic kit, and he has an electronic kit right behind him. And I mean, when you see a video and you see that thing just spin around and it just keeps on going, that just blows your mind. And as a percussionist myself, I'm not a professional or anything, but I can appreciate that kind of just the talent that it takes to play and just keep playing for 3 hours. I couldn't imagine playing for 3 hours.
Oh my gosh, there are drummers out there. The late great Vinnie Paul. Yes. He said that, this is an established drummer.
Yes.
There's a song out there. It's an instrumental. It's La Vida Strongala. Yeah. He's like, that is the bar for drummers. And he said, I blow my chops halfway through that song. They play that song at the end of their set, that tour we went to. It was the next to last song. They played all of this music, moving pictures in its entirety.
Yeah, they played the whole album in its entirety. I remember that.
And then their encore was La Vida Strongala and Working Man. And if you know those songs, they're long songs. And it's like, and you hear these drummers say, like, I can't even get through La Vida Strongala. Even if you started with La Vida Strongala, I couldn't get through it. And this guy plays 3 hours. And then, like I said, at the last tour, the guy rides a motorcycle for 9 to 10 hours, then plays a 3-hour set.
Yeah.
How the hell do you do that?
That's insane.
I remember, like I said, banging the drums one time. We tried to start a band. Obviously, it didn't go anywhere. But we tried. We did try.
That was awesome.
But I tried to play the drums one time. We tried to switch instruments, and I couldn't get through 3 songs. I'm like, my hands are killing me. Yeah. Like, I got to build my chops up. This guy plays a 3-hour set list, goes to bed, then gets up and rides for 10 hours and does it again the next night. In his 50s, early 60s.
I don't know how he did that. But
like you said, I mean, and like you see some of those drum patterns he does. Both feet are moving, and the one is just like hitting every once in a while. The other one's hitting fast. That's just amazing. I do not have the hand-eye coordination for that. I couldn't do it. And then, like I said, it's not a traditional beat. It's different. it's a different fill-in, you know. And again, I know I don't use the correct terms, and I know if you're not a drummer, you don't understand exactly what we're saying.
But you can see it and you can appreciate it. And you know, the more videos I see of him still to this day, I watch his videos all the time still, and you can really see the influence that he had from the late great Buddy Rich.
Yes,
which he's number one on my list of all time.
He's amazing.
Buddy Rich was incredible. If you don't know Buddy Rich, I mean, look it up. You can see his playing style come out when Neal plays. I mean, that was his mentor, and he really carried that with him. You could see it.
Well, you got to respect the fact that, you know, they started in '74.
Yeah.
All the way up to the early 90s. I mean, this is an established band. I mean, you can say quote unquote cult band. They're an established band.
Yeah, absolutely.
He decides that I'm going to tear my system down and rebuild it and start over. A guy who's already been playing for almost 20 years.
That doesn't have anything else to prove.
I need to do something.
He pushes himself and he wants to be better.
I want to relearn my craft.
Yeah.
I want to learn a different way to do my craft. Right. And that's amazing. And you can tell, again, I know there's not a lot of drummers out there that would understand, but I can even understand this. You can tell, like, when he redoes his, you know, does that, and the albums that come out, you can tell there's a difference.
Yeah,
there's a different machine turning the wheel.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, as a musician, you want to push yourself to be the absolute best. You want to grow. You want to improve. You know, you don't want the albums to sound all the same. You know, and that's what their albums are completely different. All of them are different from one to the other. I mean, they're insane.
I mean, you have catalogs that are similar, but I mean, you just start at Rush, the beginning, and their last album was Clockwork Angels.
You can hear, it's insane.
And then you just, all that stuff in the middle, and then they get a little off track, I think, in the late 80s with all these synthesizers. And
well, I mean, it's the 80s.
But again, hey, you got to applaud them to say, we're not going to do the same thing. I mean, Moving Pictures comes out, and that puts them on the map. Yeah. They're the biggest band in 81, I think is when Moving Picture came out. They could have gone in and done another Moving Pictures and another Moving Pictures, and they would have been the biggest band in the world. But they said, we're not going to do that. We want to try different things. Right. You can't applaud them for that.
Yeah. And so, like you mentioned earlier, I only saw Rush once. I was only able to see him once when he was still alive. I got the shirt right here.
Nice.
You can see it, Rush. Boom. I got this at the concert. It was awesome. But yeah, to this day, this was 10 years ago we saw this show. Yeah. And to this day, that stands out as one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. Like, you know, and I've seen a lot of shows as well, and that's one of the main shows I can still remember this day. It blew my mind, like absolutely incredible. Yeah, I'll never forget it.
There you go. We, like I said, wanted to do this. Like I said, my other co-host is not a big Rush fan, so that's why I wanted to bring, you know, Daniel in as a special guest, because not only is he a Rush fan, he's a drummer at one point. And just want to get his perspective of it, but just, you know, wanted to pay some homage and just some tribute to the late great Neal Peart, and you know, hopefully we did that. So you know, if you were a Rush fan, let us know. You know, let us know your comments. What was your favorite Rush song?
What was your favorite album?
My favorite album? Oh, that's tough. I mean, Moving Pictures is the easiest one to say. Yes. I liked Hemispheres a lot. A lot of hits on Hemispheres. Spirit of Radio. Yeah. The Hemispheres. Book is what they'd say. That's you know, when you get into that stuff, it's out there, but it's great.
Mine's definitely be 2112.
I love
2112, man. I love that.
I love the whole intro, and then you got like the Twilight Zone in there, and the passage to Bangkok. Which
it's an experience, man. It's like Dark Side of the Moon. It's just an experience you can experience from start to finish.
It's like saying, what's your favorite Rush song?
That's harder to say.
I could name 50 of them.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're all so good.
Yeah, if you got a favorite Rush song, let us know. Like I said, just wanted to do that. Thank you again, Daniel, for doing this with me.
Thank you for having me. Shout out to Joe. Miss you, buddy.
There we go. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
In this one of many possible worlds, all for the best or some bizarre test. It is what it is. And whatever, time is still the infinite jest. The arrow flies when you dream, the hours tick away, the cells take away. The watchmaker keeps to his schemes, the hours tick away, they tick away. The measure of a life is a measure of love and respect. So hard to earn, so easily burned. The measure of a life is a measure of love and respect. So hard to earn, so easily burned. In the fullness of time, a garden to nurture and protect. In the rising set of the sun, till the stars go spinning, spinning round the night.